How do you feel?
The 3 members of Gambit Gaming should be the core of the team, and then I feel like today they might try to default more back to just playing like Gambit because they know that strategy works. Even Diamond in the feature talking back to IM Katowice, when they crushed through the Azubu at the time, Blaze and Frost teams who are now CJ Entus, he was saying anything is possible if you watch that, and that's what they could be believing now, but more so in themselves from the core Gambit Gaming team.
We'll see what they have. The picks and bans have gone out. Blitzcrank actually going out there. Edward causing enough trouble to find it a ban.
That is very interesting there. The fact that they've banned both of the Hook champions, but North America leaving Twisted Fate open for the first time we've seen this entire tournament, and immediately Alex is going to pop that one in.
So locking down the global pressure. It's now up to North America to decide what will they just show in their hand. Could it be an ambiguous pick? Will they choose to get that Sona for X Special?
That is going to be so telling because they don't have to pick the mid laner yet.
No.
The Sona is probably the strongest support, and the interesting thing is, Edward plays Sona all the time even though he doesn't like it. It's actually Alex who makes him play Sona because he says it's so powerful. And if we just base this off of what X Special has played throughout the LCS NA playoffs, it will be Sona, but if we base it off of yesterday, we can't really be sure because his Janna play was just immaculate.
And North America already taking all the time that they have. No reason to go any further with forcing it, but the Rumble Lulu locked in right away.
The Rumble, we should have seen coming. The Lulu definitely surprises me. So the Rumble is something that was super powerful yesterday. It got supercharged PDD just running all over North America in that game, and Dyrus is a prolific Rumble player on by himself, but the Lulu play just so early really does surprise me. I have to see what the rest of NA has in store to try to combo with that because I feel like that's not an isolation pick. They're going to try to do something else with it.
In Europe, definitely it is a Gambit squad. This says fight. This says we can go in and we can follow TFFE Destinies.
I really can't wait to see how they pile in. Getting the Zac specifically for Gambit will make them more comfortable. They played a lot of that in the playoffs. They can combo in on pretty much whoever they want with.
Yeah. So we'll see coming out on the other side as well. Looks like Saint wants to take Nautilus to the jungle here.
Nice.
As we have global pressure as well from the North American team with Karthus middle.
Scar getting on Karthus should make him that rock that gets to farm. That's what he used to do at the start. He didn't play it much during the LCS season, but now it fits this team composition the most. The thing they have to worry about is how much AP damage they actually have. Europe ran into a similar problem yesterday, picking nearly a triple AP composition, and with the Nautilus jungle plus the double AP, if Europe gets a lot of magic resist, it could be trouble.
And there's still a little bit of NA history that flows towards Doublelift for this one. They're leaving him for the last so he can get safety, he can get his pick.
And they wanted to make sure he wasn't picking in an AD carry blind. Yesterday when he played the amazing Urgot game that ended up losing, he picked it into a Vayne. So he's very, he wants to be very sure about what he does now, and since we see the final of the picks by Europe, what's Doublelift going to go for?
He does have quite a few choices to lock in for himself. We do see that Misfortune was picked out.
Yeah.
That Misfortune as well. I believe going with that support Elise right now.
That has to be it. You're right. That's got to be Edward playing support Elise. I would say it's a top lane Jace for Soaz, which is going to be awesome for him. He was actually the first Jace player way back at Gamescom in Season 2 European
Can this guy
qualifiers.
do anything? Yes.
I think he knows how to play a few champions by now. And that's what's going to play.
See what happens with the Draven pick. If he decides to lock it in, we have not seen Doublelift play Graves in so long, but he will put himself in the middle of a fight.
This tells me that North America's really got a team strategy that they're trying to pull off with this one, because Doublelift, if he was playing his own game, he'd say, I'm playing Vayne or Caitlyn, I'm just trying to win the lane. But in this particular case, because they're trying to combo with the Rumble and the Karthus and the huge amount of magic damage, the Graves ultimate and just general area of effect damage is going to try to corral the European team and catch them in team fights.
So we're seeing that it was going to be the Jace top, Zac jungle, Zac versus Nautilus. The movement of Zac can pretty much wreak havoc on that.
The movement of Zac here, we got a small delay. We have to do a quick remake of this one. So Zac versus Nautilus is actually a bit of a favor early game for Zac, I'd have to say. He can farm the jungle a bit more safely.
Yeah.
But if Nautilus gets going in even the slightest bit, he is one of the safest junglers plus one of the greatest, I don't use this term that much, but snowballers early on. If he gets level 9 really quick, he does so much damage with that shield before it can get broken, and he can really take over a game.
We've seen teams kind of forget to do that, break the shield. It was actually, I believe, one of the replays you did recently. I can't remember the game, but it is a huge factor, the little nuances in the game that make the fight go in a team's favor.
Yeah, it's so hard to do with Nautilus when you're playing against him. You see this giant man that's chasing you down with an anchor, and you don't think that you have to do like 240 damage to him. To cut his damage down damage output down
Yeah.
by about 2/3.
And that's
kind
a
of
dot,
nullifies
too,
threat.
for the area.
So it actually makes it even more important that when North America goes in, that Scar goes in with St. Vicious. Otherwise, St. Vicious is just going to lose his shield by accident because he's the only one to hit and not be able to pull off damage with his Nautilus.
And I am very interested to see between these two teams what we're going to see. Will they decide to let the first few pitches fly and they'll kind of just go for wards and back off, or is there going to be heavy aggression? Not both of these mids, but if Scar doesn't grab that tier, he's going to want his blue. He's going to want to continuously farm. Like you said, he loves his CS.
Based off what we know from Scar and Karthus play recently, the tier to Catalyst build is just what you do on Karthus. And Twisted Fate isn't necessarily someone who can punish the Karthus super early in lane. So for Alex Each as well, he's going to be able to farm up a fair bit, and there will be that if they don't do 2v1s in mid like we've seen a lot of. So we're just kind of guessing that one happened. If they get to lane against each other, a lot of it's going to be about racing to level 6 and then seeing who can shove up the lane first so they're able to roam and affect the rest of the map.
And yeah, like you say, Dignitas, kind of one of the teams to switch it up, putting Scar in the long lane in the bottom, whether he's in Diana. You could do that with Karthus because that all is globally present at 6. So if he's down there, not going to hurt.
And we've seen a lot of actually casters just making their way into the side lanes. We saw
true.
Ryze top lane twice yesterday, and it completely dominated.
And Shy was kind of crazy.
Hotshot GG was one of the first top lane Karthuses, and people were just like, hey man,
he did.
what are you doing?
Is that an accidental pick? No.
That was for real. It definitely did not win and did not make it into the All-Star game,
Nope.
but it was kind of the start for at least North America of thinking, what type of champions can we now put in these lanes since we're seeing so many lane swaps? How much does it really matter?
Well, how do they decide how that matters? Is it the pressure from the jungler coming out? Because in this tournament, that's what's happening. They're focusing junglers. It kind of changes with tournaments.
So much of it is, in my opinion, game specific for what exactly you're wanting to do and who do you try to focus down. When you try to put a Karthus in the side lane, that's just, at least for COG, trying to accumulate extra threat, but without having to pay for it. Because if you're putting the Karthus in the mid lane, that's really the easiest lane in the game to farm in. But they wanted to put another mid laner in there that was weaker in a 1v2. So it's just really dependent on your composition, really dependent on exactly what's playing against you. If there was a kill lane against a Karthus, he's just suicide in that bottom lane, which is actually what ended up happening to Hotshot way back in the LCS season.
And you know what's really interesting about these? You kind of think like, all right, what's the next point? Which one of these guys isn't that good in a 2v1 or in the swap lane? And you're like, damn, actually they're all stars. So even more super excited to see this match get underway because it is going to be these guys playing at the top of the level, whether Dyrus is in the 2v1 or not. They're the all-stars for this matchup in the region.
Yeah, I could not believe that pan shot we just saw either. It's crazy to believe we're absolutely in here. And to get back to that point, both Soaz and Dyrus were probably arguably the best 1v2 laners in their region. TSM, at least at the start of the season, were the team to do the early tower dives almost every single time.
Just stand there and watch you at your turret. It was menacing.
And whereas Fnatic was someone who just roamed around everywhere, and Soaz was off and off on his own, trying to combo with Xpeke to really make plays happen. Both of those guys are very used to having really the whole enemy team just on their back and trying to take on the world. So against each other, they both should be very ready for this.
You know what's interesting is we saw the top laner video just a little bit ago, and it's completely different for everyone. If you know you're one top laner that can carry you through, that's what you can do in fight. If you're Stanley, you know, Dyrus, you just do good in your lane, and then you'll be all right for the late game kind of thing.
I thought the biggest difference in that video was when Dyrus talked to when Shy spoke. Because Dyrus said, if you fall behind in a lot of top lanes, sometimes you're just done.
Yeah.
Whereas Shy said, which is a lot, it's true, because you can see the way Dyrus is coming from. We're saying, if you're against an equally skilled opponent and they see you're behind, they're going to punish you.
Exactly.
But then what Shy said is, you have to keep a mindset perfect, even if you start falling behind. Because even though you want to credit your opponents, you can never give them the game. You can't just say, okay, I lost my lane, I'm going to be able to get it go through. I think, and since Dyrus looks up to these guys a lot of times and measures himself against that, even though it probably didn't come across in that video, that is somewhat how he plays.
And we've heard quite a few of these guys give credit to each other from the positions, from learning where they came from. We'll have to see as we get this match underway. Our first best of 3 here on day 2. EU LCS All-Stars versus the North American LCS All-Stars.
Scar got some successful scouting down into that bottom lane brush, making sure Yellow Pete couldn't make it in there. He strutted his way into that brush really quickly to actually give Europe a little bit of a positional advantage level 1.
We'll have to see what they continue to do. They are definitely not leaving a line of scrimmage. They are making this a face and body of scrimmage as they continuously push into that Wraith area. They want this ward down very, very much so.
And I cannot really say I'm going to see a huge amount of action here since the wards have been placed in fairly good approach paths. The only potential would have been a delayed invade by maybe Yellow Pete and Edward, but I feel like that's pretty unlikely.
So it looks like everybody's going to kind of stay safe here. The ping's going towards the bottom lane as recently in that end of the both LCSs. There are a lot of the 140 invades from the Fog of War and the Tri-Bush area. So an ALCS playing it safe. They pink ward it immediately, and we may see jungler presence down there.
And a lot of that could have had to do with, since Scarra saw Yellow Pete down there at the start of the game, they wanted to make sure they had control of that early. It could also mean that Doublelift and X Special really want to make sure they don't get ganked in that lane by getting some early pink ward control.
See what they do. Alex looking to stay on the side here, make sure that nothing goes too awry for these guys taking their blue buff. And we start the lanes. We do see the AD carry support mid. Doublelift and X Special will set up there, and they do actually send Scar to the bottom.
Well, there's the... Sorry about that. There's the 1v2 Karthus that we've been talking about all this time.
Yep.
Let's see if the aggression from the Edward and Yellow Pete lane can make him pay for that. That is a very scary lane. If Edward lands one cocoon onto Scarra and Scarra's not sat on top of his turret, even if he is sat on top of his turret, there's a chance he's just dead right from that.
You know, as Freaks likes to say, these guys are definitely a press our team. Absolutely. With Dyrus, Karthus ultimate, or yeah, Dyrus ultimate, Rumble ultimate, and Karthus ultimate. These guys are a level 6 and go. St. Vicious bringing up his blue buff here. We'll have to see if we get any engagements from the junglers. It's still very early. Alex taking some pressure in mid.
And looks like NA's trying to shut down Alex. They have done this a lot also in North America, because if you're playing against a Scar or Reginald, a lot of times you do like to try to shut them down in games as well. And we saw Korea do this very well, getting down Alex. Plus, when you're in mid lane, it allows you to apply pressure to the jungler as well. So they're trying to get Alex and Diamond shut down at once. Nice steal there.
You know, as we talk back to previous tournaments, it was really Gambit to start the mid to everywhere roam. They didn't have 2 mid, but they did it with the Janna. And now NA really pulling them, giving some of their own medicine right off the bat.
Doublelift and X Special, not necessarily farming better than Yellow Pete and Edward, but that's the trade-off they're willing to have. They're almost sacrificing Scarra for trying to shut down Alex, thinking that Scarra is cheaper reliability late game than a Twisted Fate would be.
That push, action, very aggressive. Scarra trying to clear his wave out. No help's going to come from Saint just yet. Junglers still biting to their jungles. Zach in lane behind Alex Isha, but it does not look like they're going to engage. Everybody's pretty much, like we said, top-notch play all around. There is a bit of a gold lead in favor of EU, though, with that CS.
Looks like the first gank of the game might be by St. Vicious up top. Soaz went a little aggressive there. Saint would have to go right away if he wants to try to catch Soaz, though.
There's no bush, or there's no ward, but it's in the Tri-Bush, so they are going to be able to get this. He gets the anchor toss down. The crowd control after. Both flashes come in. The harpoon hits. It may be first blood. The hit goes to Saint. The support, the assist to Dyrus.
Blind hooking into that wall and catching Soaz was a risk worthy of taking. That really was what secured them that kill, because then after the flash, they could just follow and continually apply that red buff slow. So a great start for St. Vicious and North America.
You know, Jet, you said Nautilus is one of those guys, if he gets a kill, he can really get going. Rumble, we saw PDD do it one after the other. It's now in Dyrus' hands. We'll see if EU can shut that down.
Especially since Diamond got shut down a little bit by the 2-person lane in the mid. Unless he makes a play fairly soon, they could really be struggling with Dyrus in this lane.
So Dyrus looking to just flame spit down the rest of that lane, get himself back and get some purchases down. Alex Ish doing what he can to keep them off the turret, but not too much pressure. Doublelift trying to get the shots down, but they haven't done too much damage there.
Yeah, the main focus of them in the mid lane was not necessarily to push down the turrets, so it seems, but to invade the jungle and just get control of the map. The thing they're going to have to worry about here is if Scarra can't hold his bottom lane turret, as well as Alex is holding this one, because we could get a turret discrepancy and essentially get rid of the advantage North America gained with that first blood gank.
See what they can continuously do with that pressure in mid. They don't have any wards or any wards more to put down, so it looks like with the 2 in their face, they still stay with 1 pink ward to their bottom side.
Looking pretty safe there. I mean, they just saw Zach.
Yeah,
so they
right.
know they're pretty much safe. Diamond has no buffs as well, so a gank is a very low success rate if they try to chase him down. And they also have the added bonus of having a little St. Vicious there, taking away some jungle.
Oh, just on the other side of the wall, if he knew, only if. And looks like they are, once again, going to take up that jungle, and they were giving Alex harassment as well. He wanted to back, but with the waves being pushed so much, he had to stay for the bit of experience there. Finally going back now, the tier in the hands of Jace. Alex picking up that ring for himself. Looks like we will get it started. Saint picking up the mobility boots already.
And look out, Diamond Saint next special camping in a brush. This will be slow.
Down, they may be able to take him out. He's waiting for the shot. All the crowd control has been used. He hits up the slow. Oh, he gets nice into a bunny. That's not going to work for you. That's actually a dragon, but you're still not going to get away.
Timely polymorph by X Special there, making sure he could not charge up the elastic slingshot on Zach, but he still did have the flash. That is more shutdown on Diamond, though, so they are definitely seeming to target the middle area of the map, trying to combo Alex and Diamond out early in this game.
If you're not afraid of what's destinying in, it's not really that much of a threat.
Not yet.
Right before that level 6, 25 CS to 24 there in mid. It's a super low CS game, except for the AD carries. They're all half behind them.
Yeah, because we have to consider that in the top lane, Dyrus and Soaz have been battling it out, plus the gank. And Soaz was winning that lane pretty hard before, so that's why it's a bit low. And then Scarra in a 1v2 is not going to be able to farm, plus all the pressure North America has been trying to put on the jungle is sucking Alex away back and forth. So with all that happening, Europe is winning the farm game because it's 8.9 to 8.8K, even though they're down first blood.
And, you know, Kobe said it before, what's the best way to stop that snowball is keep warding. Wards to the top of Alex, 2 wards over to the Dragon, and still 1 for the top lane. So these guys do not want any more of this pressure to go awry.
And it's interesting that both of the supports have actually went for the health crystal as well instead of going for, I'm foolish, they're going for an early sightstone. It builds out of a health crystal. But they're going to be going for that war control real early.
So let's see Diamond getting hit up a little bit more. Does still have his passive from getting out of the last fight. Looks like the blue buff is pressured though. So this is NA trying to really push EU around.
And Saint's going to be hitting his power point. Level 5 through 9 is really when Nautilus sees his absolute peak. He's got a great start here. And with that booster, they're definitely trying to keep Diamond and Alex down.
So this is good. The Alex is getting hurt, but Scarra is getting hurt as well. So they're going mirror on that, but who is it going to help more? Scarra is still going to be able to get that ultimate off on the backside. Destiny comes in.
It's too hard to tell at this point. It really depends on if Alex can get any control of his lane so he can roam around. If Doublelift and Next Special keep up this type of pressure, Alex won't be able to move elsewhere. But we have to keep pointing out that due to the Twisted Fate passive and due to the amazing farming of Europe, they're actually dead even in gold and potentially taking a lead, since I don't think Scar's making it back to this turret.
This turret may go down. We see Yellow Pete putting a few shots on it, but he's not focusing it with every auto attack. He's kind of just backed off here. They may want to, yeah, they are going to get it.
They are definitely making sure to secure this turret, but they wanted the turret to kill as many minions as possible safely without them losing it, because they want to deny Scar as much farm as possible.
So Saint did get that previous blue buff we saw. This one goes to Scarra, a level 6 on Karthus, and we're seeing a lot of level 6s around as well. Alex Ish now 7. The buy is coming in as we check out some inventories here. 9 minutes into the game. BS swords for the AD carries. Not too much around. Tiers getting stacked, just normal buys, no core items.
Yeah, and I wonder if the AD carries are going to be fighting each other real soon, because they obviously both went for pretty high combat ability. Doublelift, I believe, shopped earlier than Yellow Pete here, so he's actually sitting on 800 gold, whereas Yellow Pete's sitting on pretty much nothing. Since North America got almost no damage early on that mid turret, this could end up hurting them, because as far as actual turret pressure, they're very low.
See how they decide to play the Saint again, putting pressure towards the top lane. We have seen the AD carry support now move mid for Europe. We'll see a little bit of that pressure if they can hold it off.
And I think St. Fitch is just trying to get this other kill on Soaz. He's level 6 now. Very difficult for Soaz to escape.
Oh, he dodges one, gets the depth charge on him. That's the crowd control after. They're going to follow up. Now it's Dyrus' kill coming in this time.
And North America does have to get out of there because, okay, Gambit Gaming was thinking of coming up, but they decided to deny. Another timely gank by St. Fitch, just walking up at just the right time, using those early kills to get the boots of mobility and trying to take the game over at this point. He's got to go in a lot more places, though, to get this one going, since he hasn't actually shut down the farm, aside from the 2 successful ganks.
And Jat, this is quite reminiscent of North America versus the China LPL squad. Very well played in the beginning, as we see Edward getting caught up here, surrounded by 2 members of the NALCS squad, but it looks like Yellow Pete's able to thwart them off. And as I was saying, NA can't afford to get complacent after this lead.
No, but St. Fitch's is definitely stronger than the majority of the European team right now, just based off the power spike Nautilus has at level 7. He's got to make something count here, because in the game against China, when he got off to that amazing start on Volibear, I think he had 4 to 6 kills. They could not hold it through to the end because he was the sole person in a lot of those fights, and he was just getting focused down and killed. But the same problem might happen this time if Scar doesn't get farmed up enough to go in with him, because then all of his farm on Nautilus is going to be for naught. Didn't mean to do that because he just can't make it. He will lose his shield and not do damage.
We'll have to see what they decide to pressure. It's now 11 minutes into the game. There's still Dragon Wards going down, but we haven't really seen the dance. There's just been too much movement and too much chaos caused by the North American LCS team. Europe acting on it, though. Like I said, they're continuously warding. Zach Diamond picking up that Golem Spirit, sticking with Saint, even though a kill and assist behind.
I really want to see how the St. Vicious game develops, since he's going for what looks like the same item that Diamond has just completed. That means no auras for the most part early on, and they're probably not worried about it yet because Alex, each magic damage that you want the Aegis Aura for, it just isn't made it there yet since they're keeping him down so well.
A little bit of help to Alex here in mid, and finally it looks like they will get some pressure on the Dragon. Soaz has come down from the top lane, but still the pink wards in a lot here on the Dragon for NA.
And Dragon fights at this stage of the game against Rumble are very dangerous. Europe will have to play this carefully and maybe get the Dragon on early or catch the fight before they can get cut off by an equalizer. The placement of Dyrus' equalizer, if this fight happens, is going to be so incredibly key.
And this just looks like one of those fights the All-Stars have been talking about. Everybody's there, nobody has to say anything, and the engagement happens. Diamond goes in with Let's Bounce, but the Zac attack is pushed away. The anchor toss onto Soaz. They lock him down. The Rumble, or the equalizer is right in the middle. Scar is trying to defile everything in his path, still has the ultimate to utilize at the end of the fight, and Yellow Pete is taking tags from the Skittles. It's the Requiem coming down. Diamond is going to get hit up into the blobs. Can Edward help him out? It's Alex on the backside. He's exhausted and he goes down. Saint picks up another kill. Eyes onto the blobs, and it looks like Diamond will not make it out alive.
So that is 4 kills for North America in that Dragon fight. We knew how dangerous it was to fight a Dragon against Rumble Karthus at this stage of the game. What an amazing team fight victory for North America. But after this Riv, they're only up 1,000 gold, despite how dominating they seem to be winning.
It's been a great game for a lot of the EU members in CS-wise. Like we said, it's a low game in CS, but you mentioned the TF passive, keeping them in. They got that turret in the bottom lane, helping with the global gold. With such an engagement like that, it's crazy to think the gold is still this close. 6-1 as well in kills as we crest 13 minutes. And our first Dragon didn't even really fall. Did it go down?
Yeah, it didn't even go down. So that means they could just go back and have that fight all over again. You got to question how willing Fnatic would be to go into that again, because North America is going to be high on confidence. There they go for Soaz.
One after the other, the anchor tosses come in. Will they be able to lock it down? The crowd control is there. Zach Diamond comes in. You got to remember, the passive is down. Dyrus picks up 1 kill onto Soaz. Looks like they have a good control of this fight. Alex pushed out up top, and NA just kind of messing around with EU right now. The wards are down, so full vision for both teams. Saint hits another anchor toss. They polymorph him. The last hit from Skittle of Skara, and it looks like the Dragon may finally be theirs.
And you talked about North America having that press R composition. They did not even have their ultimates for that fight, and they won that in a skirmish battle. Normally, Jace and Elise, since they are both form swappers and do not have true ultimates, thrive in skirmish situations. So the fact that they lost that second fight so badly is not a good sign for the rest of the game.
North America is on the fast lane right now. 14 minutes in, 8-1. But Europe, with that fight squad, they could still come back. It's very much what Gambit Gaming is well known for. Soaz as well, being a fighter on this team. And then they called it the supercharged Gambit, and we'll have to see what they can do. It's still very early.
And as far as being a supercharged Gambit, I think this is the point where the European team needs to actually channel a bit of Fnatic and start scattering and confusing the North American team while avoiding team fights. That's what Soaz and Xpeke did so well during the season. Oftentimes when Xpeke was on Twisted Fate, they can't take team fights. They have shown twice now that they will lose those team fights, so they need to find skirmishes, they need to pressure the map, and they need to take the right fights that don't have everyone involved.
Still a super low minion kill score game, and nobody really finishing a huge core item yet but the junglers. The AD carries, like I said, they were farming their faces off. Do finally have their bloodthirsters. Doublelift with the boots as well, already going for attack speed.
And in that super low farm game, you can see Doublelift is the only one who's farming, and he is on an amazing clip. 150 pretty much.
Yeah.
15 minutes into the game on Graves. He's the one channeling the farm. He was the probably top performer along with Xpecial for North America yesterday, and they seem to be doing it yet again against a fearsome European squad.
600 gold up on his adversary here in this matchup, as well as 1-0-3 to a 0-2-1. Looking very good for North America here in the middle crest of the game, or 15 minutes we should say, not the mid yet. But it is a small gold lead. We see what Europe can do in these big fights. Diamond on the wing. Saint could have gone in at a bad time. There's the Destiny coming in. The yellow card just in range, and it looks like they will be able to get a bit of damage down, but they may be able to walk out of this one. We talked about how tanky Nautilus can get. Will they finalize it? And they do. EU, LA, LCS All-Stars find themselves the kills they need.
Really good job of finding a fight where they had the numbers advantage and just capitalizing on it for North America. That was really, imagine Alex Itch being Xpeke there. He comboed with Soaz and they made a play. That is what Europe will need to continue to do while Yellow Pete farms up slowly. Watch for Alex and Soaz to try to team up and take fights against lesser people.
Really one of the best kills they could have had as well. A shutdown onto St. Vicious. The gold still hopping into NA's favor. However, we'll still have to see and watch how that flows. Yellow Pete trying to hold off Scarra in the bottom lane. Alex still just trying to clear these minions out in mid, so they do have the chance to leave lane and pressure other things.
And Scarra is finally starting to catch up as well as Alex. The laning phase was a little bit dissolved because we've had dragon fights. The turrets still haven't went down, but you can just see by the flow of farming, it's much easier for the guys. They're no longer trapped into 2v1 lanes. Scarra is obviously going for that tier to Roa to Seraph's Embrace build on Karthus, and we actually did see way back in one of those team fights more of the North American plan with that early Lulu pick. They're actually wanting to Lulu wall either Scarra so they can keep him in range for his defile and people can't run away, or obviously just St. Vicious if he's the first one in, but that'll be a very good synergy, and it means that Scarra needs to continue to focus his farm. Otherwise, it's no good keeping someone around Karthus if he's not doing damage.
Doublelift taking a walk down the river. Looks like the AD carries are going to face off against each other. And we kind of see both teams saying, we're strong, or they consider each other strong. Because the wards, they're not going deep anymore. They're just on the entrance. They want to know if they're in or out, and they just want to play it safe for now.
And that seems like the thing they need to do until they can bide their time to find the right fights. We know how the dragon fights already went in this game.
A few more wards being placed down. Still nothing deep, as we said, but it's not going to be deep. The turrets haven't been taken down yet. It's all about the roaming and stopping people from really getting to a late game phase. They've tried to do it on Alex in mid. He's gone straight for the Lich Bane on Twisted Fate.
That's quite an interesting choice. I wonder if he's went with any AP. He's already got 140 AP just with the Lich Bane and a couple Thorns rings, so definitely trying to proc that, maybe extra turret pushing, because they realize that North America doesn't have really any focus on trying to get that going at this stage in the game, and if Europe can catch up by map pressure and turrets, then they're going to take that if it avoids fighting.
Is this just a sixth sense by Dyrus? I don't think he warded that front bush. No, he did. He does have a ward right under the coin of Jace. So looks like Dyrus playing it safe in the top lane. This gives Saint all the time to roam. They have two on the bottom lane, and they may try to dive this.
This could very well be a dive. That is 4 people. TF actually get you top at the same time.
Oh, Dyrus is going to go down, so they have to actuate on this on the bottom lane. It looks like it's going to be Yellow Pete. Scar is actually on the backside, too. He could actually wall in Edward. No, Edward jumps the wall, tries to get back out of this one. Saves himself, but they lose Yellow Pete and Dyrus.
1 for 1, pretty much, except that was a shutdown on a Dyrus while Yellow Pete had already died 2 times previously. So that is a good move by Europe. Once again, they avoided the big fight and got the skirmish that is more in their favor.
You know, Jat, you said it. There's the Lich Bane buy. Probably the turret pushing. They finally take down the top one after it was straight focus with Destiny on that core buy.
So smart choices and smart play coming up from Europe while they're behind, but we can't take the credit away from North America, who's 9-3, still up about 2,000 gold, and the dragon a minute away could either give them a dragon because they're so strong in team fights, or just take them into the stratosphere as far as gold lead goes if they can get another ace.
Miramon is being charged up here for Jace. We also have the tier being charged up on the side of Scarra, going for that Seraph's Embrace in the end game. So he's stacking 2 as they come into the 20-minute mark.
And those guys are getting real close to the transform. So Soaz is at 704 of the 750 for that Seraph. So even though he's 0-4, he's going to be a really big threat, potentially by the time this next dragon fight happens. Scarra, likewise, was at 670, so he's pretty close, but he hasn't been able to buy the item yet for the transform. So it's going to be pretty key, actually, since those items do have a very large spike once they get it.
Now, with the choice in purchases here for the AD carries, the dragon about to be attempted here, but it doesn't look like there's a contest on this one to see what happens. They should be able to get it. Saint has smite up, and he's been doing quite well.
Yeah, he got the one. He missed the other one.
Yeah.
But St. Vicious in general has actually had very good starts to a lot of these games. It's about finishing the games that he's actually struggled with in some of these cases. but they're going in for a fight after the Dragon. This could be big.
1, 2, 3. Diamond's passive is going to be back up from the last engagement. They get a depth charge all the way to Edward and Alex East. The crowd control is just too much, as well as the area of effect. Look how big Satan is going into this fight. Edward's going to be forced to turn around. He tries to get an execute down, but it's not going to work, and they take 3-2 for nothing.
And this could be big if they continue the push. How is North America going to capitalize? They have lost creeps. Soaz is still able to poke them down. Is this just going to be another fight for North America where they get kills but can't take an objective?
They're pushing it. They have very low HP, and that's one of the scary things we see teams not be able to get around or just coordinate themselves to. You get low, you don't have the minion wave, you win the fights, but it doesn't matter if you can't push something after.
And North America is going to have to figure out a way of doing that. One thing you have when you get the double AP composition is your turret pushing is actually a lot slower.
Right.
If you had a Jace on your team and you can both just wail on the turret. Since Rumble's melee and Karthus' auto attack is actually pretty bad, that won't be big. But Doublelift with a lot of items just chasing down Diamond.
Forcing the flash on Diamond. Does he decide to go in? He's got the blue buff. He hits the passive. He may be able to lifesteal. Oh, this could be bad news, Bears. Doublelift gets the exhaust down. Oh my gosh, the Red Whip comes in. He doesn't have enough for collateral damage.
Whoa.
He gets the first kill. You are not going to slingshot in, and he holds himself back.
Doublelift actually came very close to getting his team a double kill there, and this is now North America's time to take the objectives because people are down, their AD carry is wailing on a turret, and the rest of the team is pushing mid.
This is perfect push by North America. It just got bolstered in the top lane. They had a kill for Jace, Diamond, and Alex. Then they went ahead and shut that down after their reactionary in every one of their moves.
And since they know the Twisted Fate ultimate is down, plus he's dead, it's going to be a very long time until Alex can actually aid an extra fight, which means this push for North America can continue.
Oh, there's the poke though. We got Soaz getting a bit of that Muramana damage in now with the Brutalizer. They're going to have to be careful on these engagements because they've gone for a lot of damage, but you see Saint so far ahead, Bulwark already.
I just got distracted by Doublelift's 250 minion kills because he has those at 22 minutes right now after getting a whole bunch of kills in that top lane. That is an absurd number on Graves at this stage in the game. 9,000 gold. He is 2.3k above Yellowpete at this point. He has just picked up a Phantom Dancer and a pickaxe, very well on his way to Last Whisper. So North America's one weakness of this team comp was the fact that Doublelift was their only AD damage, but he is farming so much and they're giving so much farm to him, they're trying to bypass that.
And you see that Yellowpete is actually still the way Misfortune is played, but really building utility, not going for the attack speed, going straight Last Whisper after that Bloodthirster.
And that's actually not that uncommon of a build for Misfortune, so he's doing the best with the gold that he has. The Black Cleaver might actually be the next item he wants, unless he decided to go for a Phantom Dancer if he's really worried about individuals diving him, but that's not the case with this double AP team.
And we got a 23-minute Baron going on here. It is going to be Diamond just waiting in the wing.
And North America messed up their last game by going for this and getting it stolen, but there it is while the split push happens.
They had enough wards. They've been controlling the game. Alex, like you said, the Lich Bane trying to push down the turret still. They are focusing on pressing advantages while losing a few as well.
And if they get that turret, it's still going to be 3 turrets to 3 for Europe, but they seem to have lost all hope of winning team fights. And as soon as Doublelift starts chasing down and beating up Soaz plus Alex each, it will be trouble for the rest of Europe. They need to wait as long as possible as actually Alex TPs to safety. North America has to reset a little bit.
See a Diamond trying to give an advantage to the team, seeing if there's a blue buff there, anything they can get to edge themselves forward here. They are doing it and keeping it in mind. We heard these guys, a lot of the players, you keep a good mindset, it's going to be all right. 24 minutes in, 12-3. It is looking grim, but we know Europe can pull through in these fights in the late game.
And North America hasn't actually shopped since the Baron buff. They're sitting on about 7,500 gold right now, so that big gold lead hasn't been shopped on yet. Their advantages are purely in experience and with the Baron buff right now, unless North America decides to shop, but they're very confident in their position right now, and they look to be pushing with this Baron straight after taking the buff.
The wards going down for both sides. Oracles are there as well, so European LCS All-Stars trying to give themselves a bit of a defensive wall here with the pressure that North America's bringing. They're not even split pushing these lanes. It's brute force tactic.
And it seems like the right call to not have went back immediately. They're going to have to go back now because of that huge creep wave accumulating in the top lane. I actually feel like if Doublelift gets that, he's going to hit close to 300 minion kills by 25 minutes, and that's probably exactly where he's running off to right now, as fast as possible, taking Race on the way. He's going for some kind of Graves record here.
He is going to stick in the jungle, not going back for his buys. Skara had 2 grand on him, and he is still out on the Rift as well. So you've heard, Service Embrace coming in. He gets himself an Elixir as well on the backside. These guys are just saying, we're going to fight again when we get out of the Rift.
And they realize they have a really big power play right now. They have 2 minutes left on the Baron buff. They have one turret left in the mid lane before they can get to the inhibitor, and a couple exposed turrets on the outside. This whole game, North America has had a little bit lacking turret pressure, but now with this huge accumulated advantage, they might be able to sweep through and take a whole bunch in one push.
Look down here, 25 minutes in. Dyrus building up the Rylas right away. The Leandries might finish next, but he also has the chance to go into the Zanyas. It's really just a chunk of change flowing into their pocket. Could decide a buy at the end of the fight.
And at this point, I think the Rylas is the right choice for Dyrus just because of the way they're chasing it after team fights. No one is focusing Dyrus in these fights, so he doesn't need to be able to have that clutch save that is on his Hourglass to be able to offer. And it's just going to allow more people to get stuck in that equalizer and more people to follow up.
It's scary. You put Dyrus in a fight, and it's almost like, where's the Jace
look out,
gate?
Alex.
Looks like Scar just on the backside. He misses that. Doesn't have the crowd control to stop him from Destiny, but Destiny is up, and he gets himself out of that one. Woo.
Will the Requiem get him?
Oh my gosh! That was over 400 to 500 damage.
Well, you have a global, so do I. Welcome back. I have the Requiem. That was a huge burst of damage that North America pulled down, and Alex thought he had escaped while burning some ultimates, but now he has just cost them a 30-second death timer and a very powerful push in the bottom lane.
Skara knew that was going to happen, didn't even pop the blue for it. These guys are playing so mentally and physically well in this game. It's like they're playing inside the minds of what is the EULCS team going to do, not what are we going to do.
And keep in mind here, the last place team in this tournament, which will be the loser of this game, will not get a bye in the World Finals here. So these games really matter for these two teams since they want a better chance for the top-seeded team to make it through.
See what they can do, pressuring the first inhibitor turret of the game. North America chooses to go in. There's Guyman going in with the Zac attack. It is a huge shred from Bullet Time, but it's Saint wanting to go back in. The HPs are low for both teams. Saint takes a turret shot and goes down first. It's going to be all onto Dyrus, and then they're still going into the fight. Expresso gets hit up with a shock blast right through the gate, and a double kill coming in for Soaz.
And I gotta say, North America just was not cohesive in that push. Skara got caught out a little bit at the start, and then instead of either all going in or all going out, they got caught in that murky midway and just got punished by the persistent poke from Soaz and Alex. Plus, they took a lot of damage from Yellow Pete's Bullet Time before any of that started. That was not a good fight for them. And
at 27 minutes, you usually do not see the 1v1 for an AD carry at Dragon, but they have the capacity to do so. The map control, it's going to be 5-3 in turrets, 45,000 to 37,000, and 13 to 6. Now, this is very reminiscent of what they did versus the Chinese LPL squad. We'll see if they can carry this through.
Yeah, they hopefully aren't having flashbacks for their sake, and it's got to be a matter of mental fortitude for these guys because they can't collapse again. They played this game ridiculously solid, and the pressure is on here because even with that Baron buff, they were unable to crack the inhibitor wall that Europe LCS has been able to put up here. So maybe they're going to wait for the next Baron. Maybe they're just going to hope until they get a big team fight, but they got to be a little bit wary after what happened yesterday.
And these walls are becoming individual players right now. You already have Doublelift building up into a Giant's belt, factoring out that his damage is far surpassing already, and he can do that kind of plateau in safety to still fight.
Doublelift did this yesterday in his first game. He actually went Phantom Dancer, I believe. It was either Phantom Dancer Bloodthirst or Phantom Dancer Infinity, straight into like a Frozen Mallet.
Yeah, the Frozen Mallet.
So he actually needs to be careful he doesn't transition to defense too soon because we know that North America is lacking in attack damage, and since he's went for the defense early here, there will be a point where North America will be lacking in attack damage since they have essentially a triple AP team across the rest of their lineup.
2-0-7 Doublelift. You see how much damage these guys do to the turrets, and it's really not able to be answered just yet by the European LCS All-Stars. They have the items to engage that fight. We saw how much damage North America took at that turret engagement. The Black Cleaver, the Last Whisper, is there to shred everything North America's bringing to the table. So the Europeans are putting everything in their pocket they need for these engagements.
And North America is putting all the pennies in Doublelift too, because 336 minion kills. You have to keep in mind, it's not because Skara and Dyrus haven't been farming well, it's because they're giving the farm to Doublelift. Anytime they're pushed up in a lane and a wave comes through, they give all 6 to Doublelift. That's why he's got 12.8 thousand gold right now and 2,200 in the bank. He's gonna have to really perform in these team fights since they've given him so many resources throughout the game.
He is basically 3,000 gold ahead of everybody in the game right now. Finishing the Frozen Mallet like it was on sale. 30 minutes into this one, it is looking like a game one for North America, but it is not yet over. We know Europe can hold this one out, and we know they know how to guard that base.
And Alex has taken down a couple chip shots to that bottom lane. Only one turret between him and the inhibitor while North America tries to poke around this Baron. North America's going to want to initiate fast.
Diamond gets hit there. The ward control is going to allow them to engage this. Let's Bounce is out of the fight.
There's actually a misfortune with Alex Each, so unless North America gets this Baron down super fast, that inhibitor's going down.
This is going to be very big. That attack speed isn't there.
They got to worry about the steal, too.
They are going for it. The steal is not, could be there for the elastic slingshot. It does not come in. The turret goes down. They're still just waiting on the outside. Will he decide to go in? Oh, they get the transformation of the polymorph onto him. It's going to be Doublelift picking up the Baron. They're still on the inhibitor. It looks like they're going for Nexus turrets in the base right now. The pip showing you the damage, and it looks like they're going to be able to take out Diamond. But
they're losing their base. They got to get back.
They could lose the base here. Oh my God. They are going to go for the next Nexus turret. It may go down. They take down one. It's going to be Scar coming back.
Here comes Requiem.
Keeps him in. The Nexus is down to half health. Do they have enough damage to take it down? Oh my gosh, they get back just in time to save it. The Lich Bane is such a huge factor in this game right now.
Wow, Riv, is all I can say after that one. They barely made it back in time, but that is a huge detriment to North America. What a power play by Europe, forcing them into that decision. And North America almost with another throw at Baron like we saw against the Chinese team. They may not be able to come back from that because that back door is consistently open. They cannot rebuild that in any way. Even if the inhibitor respawns, that's not for another 5 minutes. North America might want to try to end this right now before they can even think about Alex Each stealing it again, but they can't. They have to be so incredibly cautious with how they push, or just go immediately.
There they are. They're on to Edward. They may be able to take him down here. Edward goes up, but he's only got dropped straight down. He goes down from Special. That is one for them, and the inhibitor is going to be there.
And this is a 4-man push. They're actually keeping Skara back, but they have so much power in these 4 people. Double with those 351 minion kills, plus the Baron buff. They want to end it, probably on this push.
Let's Bounce his back up for Diamond. He goes in. Double it very low. Just gets himself out. Oh, he cleanses. There's the TF. The cleanse was too early. Can they turn this one around? Alex finally has the Zhonya's. Is it going to matter? Doublelift still alive. He goes down to the Ignite Bird from, it's going to be Alex Each. They continue the fight on. It looks grim here for Yellow Pete. The team is backing off, so has very low health as they get out of this one.
The focus by Europe was actually really correct in that fight. The fact that they took down Doublelift means this push cannot end the game for North America. They were able to trade an inhibitor back, but they did not get any Nexus turrets, and that was a successful hold for Europe.
You know, chat, an amazing play here from the EU LCS to bring back the bottom inhibitor turret to Nexus turrets. The Lich Bane was always the right buy for Alex. Like you said, he was shut down in middle. He wasn't there for fights after he got hit up that bad. He was there to make that play.
They pushed that turret so incredibly fast, and they turned themselves into a split push team right after they realized they couldn't win team fights early on at the Dragon fight, and they have really clawed their way back specifically off that play.
Looks like Yellow Pete taking a little love from the Gambit Gaming side. Buys himself up. The Guardian Angels, he's feeling safe. He wants that second life. So now they have 2 passives, or 2 lives, I should say. The Zac passive coming in and the Yellow Pete. That's going to control focus a little bit. Now that the Zhonya's is there, we saw that cause trouble for NA right there.
And it's all a matter of Europe avoiding North America as a unit. If EU actually faces NA in a full-on 5v5 fight, they probably lose the game. So I don't think we're going to see that in any capacity. It's all about Alex keeping pressure towards the bottom lane where he has that exposed inhibitor and no turrets defending the Nexus. And it's so tricky for North America to keep their own side of the map warded and make sure that TF can't pull anything tricky, because with that Lich Bane, that Nexus will go down so fast.
A little bit of a lull. We're going to take this for granted here.
Yeah.
34 minutes in. It's going to be a Dragon coming in for the Europeans when this is Doublelift's 1v1 Dragon. That's how much pressure they had. Doublelift was there by himself. It's now Europe's, and so is that side of the map. They have it back. They are starting to regain so much control, and they have, like you said, 8,000 gold down, a backdoor to always go into. Not very common.
Such a miraculous play to make that happen, and it's completely hamstrung where North America is able to go here. Now we see Doublelift, who's nearing 400 minion kills already at 34 minutes, off in a side lane. So if Europe actually got a fight here, North America wouldn't have all their damage in. EU might go in.
They're trying to hit it up a few times. Dyrus trying to get some tags down. They are just going tit for tat here. You see Alex Each going to the top side. Will he decide to go for this? Chat, could be.
There were so many wards in that side of the jungle for North America that as soon as they saw Alex creeping forward, they went in. And the fact that there was Graves in the bottom lane, while Europe could have had a 5v4 fight, they didn't take it, tells me their focus is about backdooring. But Saint might catch Alex.
He locks him down. Oh my gosh, they are going to use absolutely everything. He gets hit up the depth charge. The bullet time goes right across, but is it enough? EU LCS trying to get the damage down here. Edwards on the backside. Yellow Pete is in the front right now, getting all the damage down.
Scar is wrecking
Guardian
them.
Angels goes down. Scar is still actually alive on this one. The Seraph's Embrace keeping him healthy, and it looks like they're going to be able to push through on that one. But look at Soaz.
Soaz is going for the Nexus. He did not die to the Karthus. Can NA get back in time?
Does he have the damage? And Ramon is there. There's the W. He's trying to get the shots out. Oh, they're going to come back. He's going to go down to minions. There's Dyrus picking up the kill as well. It's so close to these football teams.
And now Doublelift, while he was split pushing, did not come to the team fight. His rally flag in the bottom lane was correct this time, and maybe he can get the Nexus turrets.
Deja vu double lift. We've seen it before. He's not against the Rise this time, but it looks like he's going to keep safe for this moment. Edward just in his face. He knows he can orb walk this one. Oh my gosh, missing the repel burst on collateral damage. A little of it ticking on, but it looks like they're going to be able to finalize that kill, and he's going to have himself a turret and maybe a death here.
Alex Each spawns right now. There's 10 seconds left on Diamond and 7 on Yellow Pea, but all of North America is here. Sans Scara, they might go for the win here.
Locking up Alex there. It's going to be double lift, only focusing on the Nexus turret, and the Nexus, North America getting backdoored, but they go right through the front door, and they bring it back to the European LCS All-Stars to go to a game 2.
That was such an incredible game. You can see the stress actually on the North American faces after that one, because boy, did they ever have that game in hand. And you can just hear the chatter in this arena as everyone has to talk after that game.
You know what, chat? The community said 53-47.
That was about it.